How you guys doing? Okay, so real quick before we dive in, I'm a podcaster. I'm not a speaker, and I suck at memorizing. So I'm going to do a little with my notes. Also because I may or may not have changed some significant parts of my speech this morning at 5 a.m. And I'm super inspired by everybody that's memorized their speech and come up here and just talk with such grace and so relaxed and calm. So like, not the easiest thing to do, so congratulations to everybody who's come up here and had such energy. Okay, so, who am I? My name is Angie, and I am the founder of Not Your Average Runner, which is an organization with the mission of helping women, especially women who do not see themselves as athletic, start running. And I've been a skirt ambassador since last November. I've been a skirt wearer for about 5 years. And I remember the very first time I saw one, I was like, what is that? I must have that. And I ordered one from Skirt Sports, and ever since then I've been a big fan. So, yay for skirt. And I'm not even wearing one today, which is so funny. I've got like 3 in my bag. I'm wearing capris. So I was gonna ask you guys how many runners we have. I know that that's everyone pretty much, except maybe 2. So I don't need to ask you to raise your hands, but I do want you guys to know, at Not Your Average Runner, we don't just want women to get up and running for their health. I mean, that is a side effect of running, obviously. But our main goal is to help women build self-confidence, stop negative self-talk, start thinking differently about their bodies, and basically to show up in their lives in a whole different way, which is basically what all of you do on a daily basis as skirt ambassadors and as runners and athletes. Now, I know all of you can relate to this mission because last night during Runner's Talk, I heard a lot of you saying that running helps you connect, that it gives you confidence, and it makes you feel amazing and inspires you to do some pretty epic shit, right? Mm-hmm. So, Not Your Average Runner's mission is to get 1 million more women up and doing exactly that. And one of our primary tactics to making that happen is visibility, is being seen. And I don't mean the business being seen, I mean getting all of our runners being seen. And what does that mean? That means to show up to races, to post on social media, to show up at the gym, to show up at trails, to show up at your local running store, to be visible in your community and be an example of what is possible. And I primarily work with plus size runners, and it's so important for that particular demographic of female runners to show the F up and be an example. One thing I do love about Skirt Sports, and is the reason why I'm just so enthusiastic about it, is how this is an organization that promotes fitness for all women, all abilities, all bodies. And when it comes to supporting plus size athletes, Nicole and the team don't just make the clothes in larger sizes, you know, like they do at every other company. They actually put women, not just professional models, but like real women with actual 1X to 3X bodies in the clothes, doing stuff, and then they post it on their website. They're like, hey, this is what you can do in our gear. This is inclusivity, and this is visibility. And I guess I have a quick question for you. What does visibility mean to all of you? Just raise your hand if you. Don't make me call on you guys.
To not be ignored.
To not be ignored. I love that. Anything else? Yeah, in the back. Acknowledgement, right. I love that. Someone over here.
To be heard.
To be heard.
It's a different sense, but that's the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Not being afraid of being seen.
Boom, exactly.
Oh.
One more.
To be valued.
To be valued, right? And so visibility is all about not feeling like we have to hide, that we have to say, oh, I'm not one of them because I look different or because I perform differently. Visibility is being seen, right? And being accepted. So Dictionary.com, I almost every speech that I do, I come up with a dictionary definition of a term, but Dictionary.com defines visibility as the state of being able to see or be seen. And how I apply that to women in sports by saying it is the act of allowing yourself to be seen by others. And not all like perfectly posed in your Instagram shot where there's no double chin, there's no cellulite, right? We've all done that. Visibility is showing up and posting the picture of yourself where, you know, maybe your stomach doesn't look exactly the way you want, but like that look on your face, that brilliant smile of sheer joy for doing what you want is just epic, right? That, to me, is what being seen and visibility is like. It's allowing yourself to be seen doing actual athletic things, like running, swimming, jumping for joy. And by the way, I have never met a bunch of people that do like jumping shots on Instagram the way this group does. Like, you are epic. And I am in awe. So I need a tutorial. So maybe, Myrna, the next time you do an Instagram tutorial, you read the jumps, okay? But visibility is allowing yourself to be seen doing things that represent your life and your passions. And visibility is kind of my mission in life at this point. Like, I started this company and I thought I just wanted to help a few women get up and running, and then I realized, like, no, I need to help women be seen and recognized, and I need to help change the face of what athletics looks like in this world. Because it's important, right? And the reason it's so important is not, you know, just so that we can sell more skirts. That's extremely important, but being seen is really important because it makes a difference for those women who are just starting out on their fitness journey, who may be a little hesitant. They may look at, they may see a 5K in their town and all they see are a bunch of like really uber fit, thin looking people, and they're like, oh, that's not for me, right? When we see other women, when we see other people doing things that look like us, doing things that we want to do, or maybe even things that we couldn't even imagine were possible, we start to think differently. We start to see possibilities instead of barriers. And that is so powerful, you guys. So has anybody seen the movie Free Solo? Yeah? You guys, okay. So, my heart is racing just thinking about it. So it's about a man named Alex Honnold, whose name I probably just butchered. He's the first person to climb El Capitan without any safety equipment. So he like Spider-Man, just right up the side of this cliff. And I think he did it in like under 4 hours, which completely blows my mind. So I watched that movie, I was riveted. It made me want to try rock climbing immediately. It looked really fun. I was like, this is a thing, right? This looks cool. And so I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And then my brain is like, no. You're too fat, you're too old, you're not strong enough. My brain just went to town, and I thought, all right, brain, fine, we just won't do that thing. And I also was afraid that if I walked into a rock climbing gym near me, that they would say, sorry, that harness, not gonna hold you, it's too small, go home, right? And how many of you have thought about doing something like rock climbing or something else, and then your brain's like, no, they're not gonna accept you, they're gonna laugh. I'm not gonna go to that running store and shop for running shoes because I'm not a real athlete. I'm just somebody who, goes out and walks a little bit, right? We've all been there. So I just put the thought away. And then one day, I'm scrolling through Instagram, and who do I see with her fabulous ass hanging on a rock wall? Right? And I'm like, wait. Fat girls can climb? This is allowed? Like, I literally did not think it was allowed, which is fascinating because my whole career is about, being fat and doing athletic things and showing that it's possible. But I had this blinder when it came to rock climbing, and it wasn't until I saw somebody else who looked like me, who has a body like mine, that I thought, wait, this is possible for me, okay? So you guys, this is the power of visibility. If she had just kept it to herself that she was climbing on a rock wall, I never would have known. It wouldn't be something that's in my mind now. And I wouldn't have said to my boyfriend, like, hey, let's go do this thing. Let's find a rock wall. And he's like, all right, how about June 13th? I'm like, okay, let's do this. So if I fall and break my neck, it's all your fault. No, it's not. I will totally not blame you for that. But this is why visibility is so important, because you never know who's watching, all right? And no matter what it is, no matter what the thing is, whether it's climbing a rock wall or going for a run or going surfing in Costa Rica, also did not know that fat girls could surf, so yay for that, I'm there next year. But it's hard to step out of your comfort zone to do something that you've been told is only for other people or that you've never seen yourself represented in. Especially if you're fat, because the world doesn't quite know yet what to do with fat athletes. They're like, you go, girl? Like, but your knees. So, I've been a fat runner for many years. When I first started, there were not any people. Originally, I thought there were not many people that looked like me. There weren't any, right? It was 1998, let's be honest. There was nobody. First triathlon I did in 2010. I was the only fat girl there in a field of about 5,000. Which was intimidating, but I hung in there. Nowadays, you go to races and there's like, all body types are represented. Really, really are. And the industry has come a long way. It's not there yet. There's still a lot of progress to be made. But here's the thing, you would never know it from the publicity photos. So when you go to like a race website, you go to the Rock and Roll Marathon series, because they're very popular. They have very generous time limits, but if you look at the website, it's all these really thin people. You don't see yourself represented. Rock wall websites, same thing. Same thing. So if you go to this website, right, and you think, oh, I'm going to sign up for this race, and then you don't see yourself represented, again, if there's that temptation to say, you know what, I'm just not going to do it, that's not for me. So that's why it's important for all of us to be doing what we're doing, right? To be showing up, to be posting on social media, to be just ourselves in our bodies and not making apologies for them, not saying, oh, you know, I'm a runner, but I just kind of run only 5Ks, or I'm really slow, or I always come in last. Showing up and being seen is not always easy, right? Let me know if you're just like, oh yeah, I'm all about being seen, right? Like, it's not always easy. This is something I face literally daily, and I know there's others of you that do as well. I post pictures of myself on Instagram, or I send out an email, and people have opinions, right? They're just like, it is very irresponsible of you to tell other fat people that they can exercise because they're gonna hurt their knees, or they're gonna, who knows, they're gonna have some sort of event, right? Or I might have to look at them, right? So people think it's a terrible idea. They also have opinions about everything else in my life, which is super fun. I think I swear too much. They have opinions about my political opinions. They email me, they tell me all the ways that I'm wrong. I get some crazy emails, y'all. People get so angry. I'm like, really? The unsubscribe button is right there. But the point is, when you allow yourself to be seen, people will see you, right? And they may have opinions. And I remember when Nicole first said, hey, we want you to come and be in the swimwear suit, or the swimwear shoot. And I'm like, in a bathing suit on your website? That thousands of people are going to see, I'm going to be seen in a bathing suit. I said yes immediately before I could think it through, because it was very much outside my comfort zone. But becoming visible means people will see you. And by the way, nobody has said a word, right? I have so many people that are like, oh my God, I saw that email with you in a bathing suit, you look amazing. If nobody said like, shouldn't have done that. So we make it up in our minds that it's gonna be so much worse than it is. But becoming visible means people are gonna see you, they might have opinions, and that can be scary, okay? But it's also way more than just our appearance, right? One of the biggest challenges for the women in my own community, you know, and just let me know if this resonates with you, is that we don't want, let's see, I call it coming out as an athlete, okay? So when you first start running, when you first start cycling or doing a new activity, and you're just like, I'm just gonna do this thing over here, nice and quiet, I'm not gonna tell anybody, because I don't wanna admit that I might not be perfect at it, right? I don't wanna open myself up to people judging me, my body, my performance, right? Yeah, I'm a runner, but I'm really slow, okay? Or I'm a runner, but actually I just do run walks, so I'm not really a runner, I'm just more of I'm a wogger. I walk and I jog. I hate that word, wogger, the worst word. Or I'm a runner, but I only do 5Ks, right? I hear this all the time. It breaks my heart a little bit every single time, because what's happening is we're not allowing our brilliance to be completely visible. We're keeping our visibility, we're trying to control it and limit it. Because when we believe there's only one acceptable way to be an athlete, we're not just limiting ourselves, we're limiting everybody around us that's watching, right? We perpetuate the myth that sports are just for the genetically gifted, and that's kind of bullshit, right? So if you want to influence others to explore athletic movement, to find the joy of movement in their lives, you need to show up with all of your brilliance on display. All of it, okay? So just a real quick story. When I was training for my very first 5K back in '98, I was basically running after dark in my neighborhood in big heavy sweatpants and sweatshirt, partly because they did not make fitness clothing in anything bigger than a size large back then, because it was very confusing to the fitness industry that somebody might want to be heavier and work out. So I didn't talk about it, I just did it. And I'd signed up for this 5K, I had no idea how to train, right? This was before the internet was in everyone's pocket. This is before Facebook and just Google, and well, I guess Google was probably there, but the rest of it wasn't. I didn't consider what I was doing to actually be running. I was just like, I don't know, I'm doing this thing, right? I didn't even want to call myself a runner. But one night, one of my coworkers happened to be out walking her dog, and she saw me. And this is a coworker that had a really hard time keeping her mouth shut. So the next day at work, it was all over the news. Angie's running a 5K. And I had all kinds of questions from people, and people stopped me going, what, you're running? What's this going on? You know, but your knees. So it turned out to pretty much not be a big deal, because nobody I worked with was a runner except for this one kind of weird guy, and then nobody liked. So people were more curious than anything else, right? I will never forget too the day I told him I'd finish a 5K, and he was like he just, the look, he did not compute, right? He was very confused. But it turned out to not be a big deal. People were more curious than anything else, but they talked about it. And one day, this amazing thing happened, because I was in the hallway going from, I used to work at a chemistry lab, and I was going from one lab to the next. And this woman that I kind of knew who she was, but we weren't friends, she came up to me and she said, I have to tell you something. And I'm like, all right. And she's like this tall. So I'm like, yes. And she looked up at me and she said, you're my hero. And I was just like, I don't, why? What's going on? Like, did I save you from not getting fired or something? What's happening? And she said she'd always wanted to start running, but she didn't think she could because she was overweight. She had these tiny, short little legs. She's cute as a button. And she was just like, that's not something I can do. That's not something for me. But now I see you doing it. And I think that's really brave, and you've inspired me to start. And I'm like, that's awesome. I felt like that made me feel great. But then, if we fast forward about 15 years, she and I are actually still very good friends, but she moved to a new state with her husband and her 2 kids. And right after they moved, got all their stuff unpacked in their house, and he's like, I would like a divorce. And so that was not what she expected. He moved out. There she was in a new state with no family around her, no friends around her, and these 2 kids. And she ran, and she ran, and she ran, and she ran. And she survived that entire episode. She thrived. She's like, I like to think that if she hadn't had running, who knows how she would have handled that situation. But she handled it very gracefully and beautifully, because she went and ran off all the negative stuff that she had to say about her husband. So her life is different because she's a runner, and she's a runner because she saw somebody else doing it. And that is the power of visibility. And here's the best part. For every single person that you inspire by going out and doing your thing, that comes up to you and says, hey, thank you, I saw what you did, I started doing it, and now I'm a runner, or I'm a triathlete, or whatever it is, there's like 10 more that don't say anything, okay? Like that one person is the tip of the iceberg. So you may think, oh, I influenced one person. No, you influenced way, way more than that. And you'll probably never meet those people, you'll never know, but they're out there and they are paying it forward as well. That is the power of visibility. You never know who's watching, you never know who you're inspiring, but you're always inspiring somebody. So I have a challenge for you guys today. I want you to ask yourself, how can you impact even more women? And I'm not talking about more posting on social media, although y'all should do that. All of the social media posts. Showing up, doing your thing unapologetically makes a big difference in the world. But what if you took it one step further? What if you reached out to somebody that you saw was like maybe a little uncertain, but interested and curious? And you said, I'm gonna mentor this person. I'm gonna help them get started. I'm gonna show them it's okay to look different than the traditional athlete and still do the thing they want to do and be unapologetic about it. Invite a friend to come on a run or a ride with you, and when they protest and say, oh, there's no way I can keep up, you're like, no, I got you. We're gonna make this happen. I'm your girl. Now, I was actually talking with Betsy this morning. Betsy Hartley was my roommate. We were up very late last night talking all things like running and inclusivity. We had a great discussion, and we were talking about this running store in Bend, Oregon, where she lives, that wants to serve the plus size market. And they've actually reached out to her and said they're struggling to get women in the door. They even have a rack in their shop of 1X to 3X clothing, but the plus size women are now coming in because they've never felt included in the running store before. They've never felt like they belong. So this, again, is another opportunity to be visible. Show up and shop at a running store, even if they don't carry your size. Claim that space, right? Show people that this is a safe space to be. A running store, a race, a rock wall, surfing, whatever it is. Like, you showing up, being your amazing self, shows other women of size and different abilities that it's a place for them as well. You never know who's watching. We cannot wait for the media, for store owners, for race directors, for whoever, to invite us in. We have to stand up, walk in, and take our place and just show the world that we belong. Okay? Thank you.